the Nissan 370Z versus the Infiniti Q60. What's the difference and which is the better Nissan? When it comes to differences, underneath all that bodywork, there really isn't much. If you take away that the Infiniti is a luxury coupe and the Nissan 370 is a older sports car, well, suspension wise, they're pretty much the same thing. Actually, dating back to the 350Z and the G35, suspension wise, it's all very similar. Not much has changed the past 20 years. Even the new Zs are just 370Zs. They're literally the same wheelbase and the same chassis. But that still poses a question: which is a better drift car? The longer, bigger Infiniti Q60 slash G37 slash G35, or the more sporty, shorter, and snappier Nissan 370Z slash all new Nissan Z? Well, today, let's figure that out. The first car we got today is the Infiniti Q60. The Q60 is near and dear to my heart. My first season of VDC and the season I got 4th overall in Drift Masters Virtual, I drove an Infiniti Q60. And a lot of people thought that I wasn't going to do too well because, well, I'm pretty much driving a big boat. And you know, they weren't wrong. The car was pretty difficult to get right. I mean, in VDC, I ran a rear bias weight distribution because I thought it would give me an advantage. I ran a 48-52 weight distribution, but if anything, that just hurt me rather than benefit me. VDC that season, I showed up to about 4 rounds and placed 30th overall, but in Drift Masters is a whole different story. That car was super well balanced and was surprisingly fast for how big and long it was. And because of its surprisingly fast character for the dimensions of the car, I was able to do pretty well. A single top 4, 2 top 8s, and a top 16. I landed 4th overall in Drift Masters Virtual Championship 2022. And then that summer, I ran it in ESDA where I landed 5th overall. Now, underneath all the bodywork is just a 370Z. It's the same physics in VDC. The only difference is it's a foot longer, which, if anything, it helps the car perform better. The Z is a rather snappy platform, so adding some length to the wheelbase definitely takes that snap out, making it a lot easier to drive, and still having it be speedy. And if I want to add that snap into it, I can easily tune it into the car without it being a big issue. I am struggling with hearing right now, though. I'll tell you that for free. But the Q60 is such a fantastic car. The G chassis is a fantastic car, not only in real life as a seat time car, but in Assetto Corsa for pro competition. I don't know why more people don't use this car. Genuinely, if I had the option to, I would probably still be driving this car, even today. Just driving it now, I still feel so comfortable with how long it is and how snappy it is for how long it is. It just drives so easily. Look how I'm putting it on this guy's door and I'm having a conversation with you. It's rather insane. The real negative is its length, though. Is it worth it being lengthy? Because to be honest, when you have such a lengthy car, it gets difficult sometimes, especially at smaller tracks. But man, is it just so good. I ran this car with a 285 back in the day, and now it has a 305 in both weight classes with this tire. On this car, feel absolutely fantastic. I mean, I am driving with ease right now in this car, except the entry on this track, but man, I am just absolutely amazed by how good this car still is. Because when I drove this car competitively to now, the data changed a lot. And really, I thought this would drive completely different. But it drives almost as I remember, if not even better now. So that poses the question, why even drive a 370? Or what's so great about a 370? Well, the great thing about the Z is it's such a proven chassis. Now, virtually it's never won a championship, but in real life it's won 3. That's just in the US, it's won 3. Not to mention, when you're drifting, having a smaller chassis is definitely more of an advantage. You have more of an opportunity to be in the pocket of cars. Sure, the Q60 is great, but man, oh man, did I struggle at some tracks to get in the pocket of some cars because of how long the car is. And if you don't get your transitions just right, it can be extremely lethargic and extremely difficult to get back onto people's doors. The Z is snappy, and its rate to angle is fantastic. Now, if you're not used to the snap, it can definitely bite you in the butt. But if you love a snappy car, you can make this thing even more snappy, and it's an absolute blast to drive. And gosh, the Z will always hold a special place in drifting, just because of how good of a car it really is. It can be used as a seat-time car and also as a competition spec car. There's such a wide variety of things that could be used for it. And if we're talking about Assetto Corsa competition use, these have done pretty well. Last season, I got 4th overall in VDC in an all-new Z, which is pretty much a 370, and another 370 ranked within top 10. So the car isn't a non-competitive chassis. It's very, very good. There's just a few kinks that are a little different. It doesn't really drive like an S chassis like you'd want it to, but it still drives fantastic. And not to mention, it's extremely competitive on all sets of tires, whether you want a small tire like a 245 or a 255 in the back, or a big meaty 305 in the rear. This car performs fantastically. And just like its sister, the Q60, you can put pretty much any motor in this car and it will perform fantastically. A VR38, a 2JZ, an RB, a V8, whatever you want in this car, it will work. Oi! So that begs the question, which one is the better car? Well, I don't mean to be anticlimactic, but there's no real answer. It's up to your personal preference. Let me know your thoughts. Which chassis do you think is better, the G chassis or the Z chassis? Let me know down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. With that said, I'll catch you guys in the next one.